We are now on the other side of All-Star Weekend, and now it's time to get back to basketball. It's time to start looking towards the playoffs, and it's time for us to now predict who we believe are going to be the best teams moving forward. Which teams are going to be the sleeper teams that are going to creep up the standings? Which teams are just going to flat out dominate? And which teams, for that matter, do you guys got being the best teams from here all the way up until the start of playoffs? What, the last game of the season is April 12th?
A month from 2 months, Ron. 2 months from Friday, the playoffs start. 2 months from Friday.
We only 2 months out, fellas. It always kind of like blew my mind a little bit how really like the first half of the season is really like the first 2/3 of the season. And then like the second half of the season, quote unquote, is really like the last sprint to the finish line. But with that sprint to the finish line, fellas, talk to me. Which teams do you guys believe are just going to flat out run through this last couple months of the season?
Well, Ron, you brought up like this the last half of the season, and you've heard me in the past say that the season is broken up into thirds. You got the first 27 games of the season. Those first 27 games of the season, we're figuring out what our rotations are. We're figuring out what the new guys are, what their roles are. Then we got the dog days of the season, which is from around December the 18th up until the All-Star break. The season is monotonous. It's cold. We got guys battling injuries, things like that. And then we had this last third of the season, like because you had brought up the second half of the season. I mean, half the season was over a month ago. So then we got this last third of the season. And what I like to categorize the last third of the season, Mars, is this is the rehearsal. Like the curtain hasn't gone up yet. So we still in the back getting our routine down. But now is the time that we got to be sharp. Because when the curtain goes up, we can't trip over anybody, right? We got to make sure that everything that we've been working on is down. And the reason why is because when the playoffs start, everything that you're good at is going to get illuminated. But everything that you're bad at is also going to get illuminated. And I've said to you, I've actually given you guys my theory in the past about the best teams that we see at the end of the season, whether it's the Eastern Conference Championship, Western Conference Championship, and NBA Finals, that middle 27 games, those teams are at their best during that time. So I think I given you like 10 years ago, like we went back to 2013, 2014, when that was going on. Well, this season in particular, that middle ground that we were talking about. So I tested my theory again, and I'm not gonna be able to see it until the end of the season. But as of right now, I did the top 6 teams. So Mars, Detroit, these 27 games, they're 13 games over 500 in that stretch, and they had a really good schedule. Right, the Boston Celtics, they're 11 games.
What chill? Good as in competitive, or good as in like?
I mean, they've beaten some good teams. They beat the Celtics, right? They beat the Knicks, so they've beaten some good teams. The Celtics are 11 games over 500, right? They've been really good. The Knicks, on the other hand, it looks a little tricky. They're only 3 games over 500, right? And they've been a bit up and down. Now, the last time that a team has been below 500 and went to the NBA championship was in the 17-18 season. That was the Cavs when they had when James basically went on that ridiculous run. They were a game under 500. Everybody else from the 2013-14 season, because I had done this theory 2 years ago. Everybody else up until that point, from 2013, 2014, up until this point, you see them at the end of the season, they've been above 500. So the Cavs are also 11 games over 500 during this time. The Raptors, they 3 games over 500. Now they had a stretch where they had ran into some really good teams, right? They had ran into the Knicks and got smoked a couple of times, right? They had went on that West Coast trip. So and then we got the Sixers, who was Mars's team. Like we got Philly at the end of the year. They're game over 500, Mars, and they ended up they're game over 500. They had ran into that Cavs team a couple of times and lost to them. That's been an issue for them. The Embiid health has been good though, and I'm really appreciating that. But then we get to the Western Conference, right? So this Thunder team, they're only 5 games over 500, right? 5 games over 500 during this stretch, and they've had some injury issues that they've had to deal with, of course, right? With J-Dub being in and out of the lineup, Shea now being out of the lineup, right? Chet was also in and out of the lineup, also with Hartenstein, but they still winning. The Spurs are 11 games over 500. The problem that I'm having with the Spurs, Damian, the problem that I'm having with the Spurs is I feel like the stuff that they aren't good at is going to be a huge deal. Like Castle's ability to knock down shots consistently, I feel like they're going to illuminate that come playoff time. And I think that the physicality when it comes to Wemby and rebounding is a huge issue when it comes to the playoffs. And I feel like with Wemby, his inability to rebound against physical teams getting pushed underneath the basket, I think that's going to be a problem. Denver also, they're a game over 500. That's largely due to Joker missing a month. So I had to take that into account. Houston is 5 games over 500. That was largely due to their defense, which is essentially the same thing from last year. The Lakers are a game over 500, and I don't think that there's anybody that really believes in the Lakers like that. And Minnesota is 3 games over 500. So we've had the top 6 teams, right? The top 6 teams in each conference. They've actually been playing really well, but surprisingly, I don't know if you know this, though. I don't know if you know this, Ron. Charlotte is 13 games over 500 during this stretch. 13 games over 500. They've been rolling. So,
sure. I noticed you mentioned the Hornets, but I noticed you didn't mention another team.
Which is?
Is this you once again displaying your Kawhi hate?
It is not. No, it is. It is not. It's not me displaying my Kawhi hate because, again, I mean, they made some changes. I think that Clippers team, considering, I think they're going to be a playing team at best. I would be really surprised if I saw them at the end of the season. And Ron, they are. I think that with the numbers that I got, I think they're like 6 or 7 games over 500 during this stretch. So they've been rolling. They've actually had the best record in the NBA since December 1st. They've been rolling. Mm-hmm.
So, Chill, based on these numbers, who impresses you the most?
Based on what I've seen, the teams
this is relative to expectation too, because like you could easily say the team that has the best, the Pistons will be the impress you the most, but relative to their expectations, who really like dominated throughout that stretch? And you're like, man, I'm surprised about this.
3 teams. Number 1, the Spurs. I did not have Mars turned me on to the Spurs earlier this season. I did not think that the Spurs would be this good. I thought that they could be a playoff team, maybe a play-in team, but to be the second best team in the Western Conference, possibly overtaking the number 1 seed, I was really surprised at what they've been doing. Defensively, I already knew who Wemby was, but I feel like the rest of those guys really feed off of how good Wemby is as a defender, and that really helps them. The fact that they can't make shots, I feel like they make up for that a lot of times on the defense, on the defensive end. I was really impressed with what Denver did when Joker was out of the lineup. That was really impressive to me. I already knew that because they ended up filling a lot of gaps, and like we can now not talk about the non-Jokic minutes because they ended up, filling a lot of holes that they didn't have last season. So I was really impressed with what Denver did. And more importantly, the Boston Celtics. To be honest with you, I thought this was a gap year, Ron. I did. I thought that this Boston Celtic team was going to be at not the bottom of the East. I thought that they were a play-in team at best. And the fact that they are, right in the middle of this playoff picture, and there are some people who think that they could get to the NBA championship is amazing to me, considering the kind of ball that they've been playing. I think Joe Mazzulla is the coach of the year.
I think there's going to be a dominant tanking display from the Nets, Pacers, and Wizards. I think they're going to show losing in ways that not many people deem fathomable.
Are they going to invent new ways to lose, Mars?
Yeah. I think I don't know if they play each other. Yeah, I don't know if they play each other, but I think those games are going to be mightily entertaining. When the score is 87-87. And they're actively trying to turn the ball over and miss shots because they know what's on the line. So I think they're going to be dominant in their pursuit of losing. And I think that's going to be extremely entertaining. So
April 9th, Mars, Indiana plays Brooklyn.
The fact that it's one of the last games of the season makes it even better. Oh my God, yeah. Tap into that game for sure. If they have like the same record. Oh yeah, Kyrie's out for the rest of the year now.
Yes, he is.
Yeah,
they confirmed that today.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep. Well, Kyrie confirmed it. Yeah.
So I don't think they're going to the conference finals. I think we can say that's over.
Yeah, I was wrong on that. Yes, I was.
It was close enough. Yeah, only a little bit. But yeah, that's why I think it's going to happen. Last third of the season.
I mean, that is going to be a fairly competitive race.
Though.
Exactly, that's going to be better than the race for the number 1 seed in the East.
What are you saying, Damien?
Yeah. I was going to say it's a fascinating time, Chill, because I think your theory holds up. Like what the evidence we have based on where we are at the season now usually tells us the story. and which teams are going to be there at the end. But like that one that you discussed with James in 18, that was a bit of an anomaly too. So I think it even strengthens sort of your theory, because that was like wholesale changes at the trade deadline and things of that nature. So because that team was underachieving. But the teams that I have my eyes on from each conference is in the East, the Cavs. I think they're still in the honeymoon period with James Harden. I think that's going to roll on. I think they're going to make a real push to be that second seed, especially. I don't know if they're going to catch Detroit, but Cleveland looks primed to like see what this James Harden thing can really be. And I think honestly, like I don't have them like making any genuine noise in the West, but I think the Lakers got a lot to prove in this sort of second sprint in the second half of the season, mainly because LeBron, Reeves, and Luka have only played 152 minutes together this year. Like, and to put that into perspective, Luke Kennard's already played 96 minutes himself. Like Drew Timmy's played 150 minutes. Just to put into perspective, like those three guys haven't shared the floor at all this season. And they obviously built around them three. So I'm keeping an eye on the Lakers to see what it actually looks like when their big three's healthy. But those are my two, man.
Luke Kennard hasn't sucked, by the way, Mars. He hasn't been terrible. No.
Chill. Luke Kennard doesn't suck.
He does not.
Why would you expect him to suck if he doesn't suck?
No, he has not. He's actually been pretty good with his Laker team. Mm-hmm.
It's the panel. Religion get built on cam. Where the check throw smoke and the hoes go ham. You ain't never seen hoops out here did raw. Every take got weight, every night we drop. This that barbershop. Courtside, worldwide tone. Welcome to the only show that really feel like numbers jumping like the score.